Disability Services, that is the acronym for it, that program. Their number is 713. And care for your mom, and you're still there. If it could be possible that she could qualify for provider services.
Okay, so I see Claire Weige. Is Derek Weige here? Or do you know if he's going to show?
Yeah, here, Your Honor.
Okay, good to see you. Okay. So you, unless you're Claire Weige or Derek Weige, if I get everybody else to mute. Okay, so
I done muted you out so they can't hear what you.
You can just manage it. You can also
all right. All right, so are the Weiges all ready? Who's going to present the testimony?
I mean, they can't hear you.
And maybe, I don't know if Ms. Lozano can help me. It shows that Mr. Kennard's muted, but I keep hearing him.
He seems like he unmutes and then I try to mute him back.
Okay, so I guess if I can get Claire Weige to unmute.
It almost looks like he froze.
I can hear.
Okay, we can hear you.
Yes, sorry, I had to join the audio.
All right, and who is going to present the testimony?
Derek Weige.
Okay, so if I can get, I guess, Derek Weige and Claire Weige to raise your right hands. Do you and each of you solemnly swear? You and each of you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Weige, you're the petitioner, so you can proceed.
Am I supposed to read what we filed?
Are you supposed to read sample test? Do you have the sample testimony ready?
I just, whatever paperwork we filed.
Okay. Did you get this off of a website?
Yes, sir. The legal Zoom.
Okay. Did they have something called sample testimony?
I mean, I was just told just to file the divorce decree.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, I may move on to somebody else and have you go, let me give you a different website. And if you can go to that website, you're going to look for sample testimony and print that out. And then when you come back, let me know and we can try to do your case.
Yes.
So that other website, it's texaslawhelp.org.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I can, my dad shops right across the street. I'll run over there and print it out.
Okay. All right. Real good. Okay. So then we have Lockett and Eleckel. So who is here on the Lockett matter? Ms. Vincic? I think
Your Honor, I'm here on behalf of Ronald Kennard, the applicant.
Can you hear me?
I can see you.
Can you hear me?
I can see you and hear you.
Okay.
Judge, if we can rename people, I can do it if they can tell me who they are, because the gentleman shown as Abby Kennard.
Okay,
Abby
so
Kennard. Yo, that's my daughter. This was her computer, I guess. She used it one.
What is your name?
What?
What is your name?
My name is Ronald Kennard. Kinnard.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Girly girl. I don't know who else is on this team.
I didn't quite understand that. Say it again.
Another girl is gonna be Pecola Slater.
Okay. Let's see if she comes in.
Your Honor, if I may.
Do I need to mute myself?
Yes, yeah, so we're going to get everybody named. So Mr. Chef, if you can tell us who your people are and we'll rename them as we go.
That I will, Your Honor, it's my intention to only call two of the people who are here in the courtroom today.
Okay.
My principal witness will be Jean Young. And then the secondary witness will be Kristen Kennard, who is the wife of Ronald Kennard. The other people who are here are certainly free. Are other members of the Kennard branch of the family, and the evite to the hearing was forwarded to them by Miss Young, and so they're here simply to observe.
Okay. All right. So do we have? I'm looking at the screen here. Mr. Chef, can you tell us who Jean Young is?
Yeah, she on my screen she's
Okay.
showing without a picture, but
I see a Jean Young now. And how about Christian Kennard?
she would be on the same screen with Ronald Kennard.
No, she's not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, she's not with me. She's over at work on her job, and I didn't. First, me hearing that she was supposed to be here, she's not. So she's on her job.
Well, let's see what we can get from Miss Young,
Okay.
and then I may ask you to testify, sir.
Okay. Well, I have some things I could say. I mean,
We'll see if he calls you. Okay. So Miss Vincent, do you have some witnesses?
You're muted.
I don't have any witnesses, Your Honor.
Just real quick, did I rename Jean Young correctly? She's muted, I think. I'm just making sure that was the right person.
Yes, Mr. Chef. Well, I guess we do have two Jean Youngs.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, Jean
Yeah.
Young.
Now there's a second Jean Young on the screen. Do we need that?
The Jean Young whose picture I see is the one whom I intend to call.
Okay, so there's a second Jean Young there's no picture, just the name.
Oh, you can't see me?
I can see you, Miss Young. You're good.
Okay, thank you.
There's a second Jean Young there that. Tell you what, I'm just gonna save space. I'm gonna remove this one. Okay. All right. So then, Mr. Chef, I think it'll be Jean Young will be your main witness.
That's correct, and Ronald Kennard will probably be called to testify as well.
All right. And so, Mr. Chef, what are you asking for today?
Your Honor, we are trying to establish clear title to a 100-acre tract of real property in Austin County. In order to do that, we are trying to trace a family history of a gentleman, Wesley Lockett Sr., who died in 1913, and there has been no administration of his estate, but there is a great deal of desire on the part of his many descendants to gain marketable title to the real property that he purchased back in the 1880s and 90s. So we're attempting to try to attain clear title to a 100-acre tract of land in Austin County.
All right, so let me call this case. This is number 20 PR 10612, in the matter of the estate of Wesley Lockett. Mr. Chef, if I can get you to announce.
Jerry Chef here on behalf of Ronald Kennard, the applicant for the airship determination.
All right, and Ms. Vincic, if I can get you to announce.
Adrian Bensick, attorney ad litem for the unknown heirs.
All right, and of the people that are here right now, Mr. Chef, who do you want sworn to testify?
If we could swear in, Your Honor, just to take the chance that someone might have something to add to the testimony that you're hearing, if we could swear all of them. I don't doubt that I'll be calling them, but if we could simply swear all of them, if any of them have anything to add to this long history of descendants.
Well, I'll tell you, we'll start off with the two people that you know of. It's just, with so many people on the screen, it's hard to identify everybody. If there's somebody else, we can just swear them in at the time. So you want Gene Young and Ronald Kennard?
Yes.
All right, so Ms. Young and Mr. Kennard, if I can get you to raise your right hands. Do you and each of you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, yes.
All right, Mr. Chef, you may proceed.
And I'm going to call Gene Young to testify first. And
Yes, sir.
Ms. Young, would you identify what your relationship is to Wesley Lockett Sr.?
I am the great-great-granddaughter of Wesley Lockett and Ann Lockett.
And Wesley Lockett, are you also somewhat of a family historian?
Yes, I've taken on that role.
And how long have you been investigating the history of your family?
Well, I guess about maybe 15 years or more.
And you are broadly familiar with some portions of the family's history and perhaps don't know quite so much about other portions of it?
Yes, most of it.
And how many times was your great-great-grandfather married?
Twice.
And can you tell the court who his first wife was?
Mahale.
And her maiden name was Soames?
Yes.
And do you recall when Mahale Soames passed away?
When Mahale passed away?
Uh-huh.
In 1880.
And at that time, did she and your great-great-grandfather have any children?
Yes, they did. They had 5 children.
Okay. And can you identify those 5 children?
Can I get in on the, I think she died.
No, Mr. Kennard, if you can stay quiet until Miss Young is done.
Okay.
You want the names of the children of Wesley Lockett and Mahale?
Yes.
Okay. Augustus, Lucius, William, Eugene, and Willie.
Was one of the children Wesley Lockett Jr.?
Beg your pardon?
Was one of the children
Wesley Lockett Jr. and a baby girl who passed away as an infant.
And in fact, of the 5 children of Wesley Lockett and Mahale Soames, how many of them died before either of their parents? Isn't it true that Augustus Lockett and the baby girl both died before either Wesley or Mahale?
Yes. Augustus in 1888, yes.
And so neither one of them had any offspring?
No, never married. Augustus never married and have no children.
And of the remaining 3 children, Lucius, William, and Wesley Jr., was William Lockett the only one who had offspring, who had
right?
children?
Lucius and his wife Leela had no children, and William and his wife had 6 children.
And Wesley Lockett Jr. had no children.
Beg your pardon?
And Wesley Jr. had no children either, right?
He, no children, never married.
And Lucius Lockett died in 1932.
Whose wife?
Lucius.
Okay, what about him?
He died in 1932.
Okay.
And did he die first or did his wife die first?
She died before Lucius Lockett died. And he died after the death of his father.
And can you identify the court the 5 children of William Lockett?
You said name 5 of them?
Can you name his children?
William. Yes.
Yes,
Ellen, Demetra, Temple Lockett, Jewel, Eugene, and Willie.
And those were the sole and only descendants of Wesley Lockett and Mahale Soames.
Yes.
And William Lockett died in 1947?
Yes. 1947.
Okay. And after the death of Mahale Soames, did Wesley Lockett Sr. remarry?
Right.
And whom did he remarry? Whom did he marry?
He married to Ann Byers.
And had Ann Byers been married at any time prior to her marriage to Wesley Lockett?
Yes, her first husband. Yes.
And she was married to a gentleman whose last name was either East or Easter.
East, right.
And when she and Wesley married, she had one child.
Right, Josephine. Josephine.
And Josephine was never adopted, as far as you know?
As far as I know, not legally, it's stated. And stories, listening to my mother, right, she was brought into the family from her Ann's first marriage.
And how many children did Wesley Lockett and Ann Byers have?
6.
And can you identify those 6 children for the court?
Of whom now?
Of Wesley and Ann Byers.
Okay. The first one is, I'm going to start with Fanny Lockett. Aunt Fanny. That's the one that I remember the most and probably have more DNA in me than any of the others because they say that she would chew my food first before she gave it to me. So we share a lot of DNA. I was 10 years old when she passed away. So Eugene, Aunt Fanny, Lula, my grandmother, great-grandmother, Pearlie Lockett. Okay. And Uncle Phoebe, Uncle Temple, and Uncle John.
And in the census records of Austin County for 1900, is another child identified as a child of Wesley Lockett and Ann Byers by the name of Jamal?
Yeah, right. I'm unaware of that. I've just been hearing that lately. I've never heard that from my mother. Just recently.
So in your experience, you have never heard of or know nothing about Jamal Lockett?
Just recently when I started when I did that history book, 2009, when I was on one of those websites, I saw his name. And when I say recently, that's as far as I found out, I heard about it, Ancestry.com.
Have you heard of any other member of the family who's familiar with or who's ever mentioned Jamal Lockett to you?
No.
And of the 7 children of Anne and Wesley Lockett, how many of them had children?
Uncle, of the 7, Uncle
Mhm.
John did not. Uncle CB did not. Uncle Temple had 2. That was Gladys and Temple Lockett Jr. And my grandmother, great grandmother, of course, she had the 9. And who else? Who else did I leave off? Let's see. Eugene.
Okay. And Eugene had no children.
And Eugene had no children. Right.
So Curly had children, Lula had children, and Temple Lockett Sr. had children.
Right. And
And-
Fanny Lockett did not.
Right. What about Josephine Easter? Did she have children?
Yes, that was Blackman.
And also Ivy? Is that?
And let's see, Leon and wait a minute, Josephine. I'm getting confused. Josephine was married to Jonas Ivy, but before she married Jonas, she had a son, and his name was Leon Blackman.
And Leon Blackman had children.
Beg your pardon?
And Leon Blackman had children as well.
Yes, he and Jesse had 5 children.
So of the 7 children, Eugene Lockett had no offspring?
Who?
Eugene.
No.
And he died
Eugene
in
Blackman? No.
Yes. And Eugene Lockett.
No.
And he died in 1929.
Eugene Lockett?
Yes.
Let's see.
Died on March 23rd, 1929.
I don't have his date of death.
Fanny Lockett also had no children.
Fanny Lockett? No,
Fanny.
that's the one we have the same DNA.
But she had no children.
No children. No children.
John Lockett also predeceased and had no children,
No children.
but he did leave a will.
Yes, he did.
And he was married at the time he died.
Yes.
And
To
who was
Bacola. Bacola. Her name was
And-
Bacola. Mhm.
and where did they reside?
In Connecticut. I'm sorry. Not Connecticut. I don't have that information. It was out of state. Was it?
We'll come back to that.
Okay.
So Temple Lockett Sr. Survived his father and his mother, and he had offspring.
Who is that?
Temple Lockett Sr.
Senior, yes.
And he had children.
Yes. Now, John Lockett was in Virginia. Yeah.
And he left his property to whom?
Bacola Walker, his wife. Bacola Walker Lockett.
And who were the children of Temple Lockett
Temple Lockett Senior or Junior?
Sr.?
Gladys Lockett and Temple Lockett Jr.
And turning to Temple Lockett Jr., who would then be the great-great-grandson of Wesley Lockett,
Mm-hmm.
he had children as well. Is that not correct?
Correct.
And could you identify the court who the children of Temple Lockett Jr. were?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Who were the children of Temple Lockett Jr.?
Who was with his wife, Ray? He was married twice.
He was married twice. Well, let's take them in order. Velma Ray Beck first.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Temple Lockett Jr., who married his first wife, Ray. They had 2 children, Sandra and Robert. In his second marriage to Virgie, they had 4 children, Alice, Wanda, Warren, Cynthia, and Kenneth, who passed away in 1997.
And Temple Lockett Jr. passed away in 1992. Is that not correct?
Yes.
And he had a will that was offered for probate in Harris County.
Yes.
And so his property will pass under the terms of his will. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
He offered a will for probate, and it was admitted to probate in Harris County.
As far as I know.
And I do have a certified copy of the order admitting the will of Temple Lockett Jr. to probate in probate court number 4 in Harris County, which I can provide to the court. Of the children of Temple Lockett Jr. and of Velma Ray, by both Virgie Lockett and Velma Beck, do you know who is still alive?
Yes.
And would you please tell the court who that would be?
Of Temple Lockett and his first wife.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, Sandra Lockett and Robert Lockett from his first wife, Ray. And a Virgie, Alice, Wanda, Warren, Cynthia. Kenneth has passed away, as I said, in 1997.
So we have some living descendants of Temple Lockett Jr.
I can't hear you.
We have some living descendants of Temple Lockett Jr. And do we also still have any living descendants, as far as you know, of Pearlie Lockett Edwards?
Yes, that's my great grandmother.
Okay. And so all of the people that we see here on the screen are descendants of Pearlie Lockett Edwards. Is that correct?
Right, correct.
And how many children did Pearlie Lockett Edwards have?
3.
Okay. And who are they?
Of Pearlie?
Mm-hmm.
Maddie, George, and Johnny.
And of those descendants, who are you descended from? Maddie, John?
Maddie is my grandmother.
Okay. And how many children did Maddie have?
9.
And how many of her 9 children are still living?
She had 9, 6 are still living.
And of the 3 who have passed away, how many of them left children of their own?
All 3 left. The 3 sisters have children, and they have children.
So that all of the Kennards are represented as living heirs of Wesley Lockett.
Yes.
Of the other descendants of Pearlie Lockett, George Edwards also had children?
He had, as far as I know, he had 1 daughter.
And would that be Eleanor Edwards?
It was Eleanor, yes. He and the mother, yes.
And Eleanor Edwards, as far as you know, also had offspring, had children.
Yes.
And could you identify those to the court?
Do what now? I'm
Could you
sorry.
tell the court who the children of Eleanor Edwards?
Okay, Randy, Robin, Jimmy, and Angela. And as I stated before, he was not married to the mother.
But he bore children.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the whereabouts of any of the children of Eleanor Edwards?
Yes, one, Randy.
So you do not know where we might be able to locate Jimmy Raz or Angela Orson?
Jimmy Jr. I'm sure his brother knows. He's a contact person.
So we have, are there any descendants of Wesley Lockett and Ann Byers whom we have not yet mentioned?
Let me think.
Let's go to Uncle Sebi.
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 Uncle Sebi, yes. Died in 1978.
Without any children.
Without any children. I'm a family-oriented person, and so was my mother. And we visit very often. Uncle Sebi, Uncle Temple, Gladys, Uncle John. So I remember 4 of the 7. I remember 4 of them.
Okay. And all of these people are identified, if not located, in the 4th amended original application of which you have a copy. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Is there any member of the Lockett offspring, the Lockett family line descending down from your great-great-grandfather whom you do not see identified in the 4th amended original application, even if you don't know where they're located?
There were. Now ask that question again so I can answer it correctly.
Is there any member who is descendant of your great-great-grandfather who is not listed or named in the 4th amended original application?
That I don't recognize?
Let's start with ones that you think should be there but are not. Is there anyone who has not been named in that application that you are aware, whom you are aware is a descendant of your great-great-grandfather?
Oh, you say that is not listed?
Right.
That is not listed. I'm thinking. And I'm looking at my list of those that are on there that I don't know, I don't recognize.
Okay. Well, let me very, very quickly, I'm going to name each person and ask whether you do recognize the person, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Kennard.
Recognize.
Your brother.
My uncle.
Your uncle.
Mm-hmm.
You, Jean Baker Young.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon Renee Baker Frazier.
My sister.
Gwen Cherry.
My cousin.
Joan Kathy Jones.
Cousin.
Tina Thompson.
Cousin.
Lorna Patterson.
Cousin.
Alicia Jan Taylor.
Cousin.
Keith Green.
Cousin.
Hazel Kennard Rafer.
Aunt.
Doretha Kennard Burrell.
My aunt.
Nicola Kennard Slater.
My aunt.
Julius Kennard.
My uncle.
And Charlotte Kennard.
Cousin.
Okay. And now we're going to those whom we don't know where they may be located, but I ask you whether you recognize Lola Gardner as an offspring of your great-great-grandfather?
What's the name?
Lola Gardner.
Well, she's listed, but you know, I wasn't born before she passed away, so but she is listed.
Okay. John Abram.
Listed. Don't know them.
You don't.
That's from Mahal's descendants, right?
Well, he is a son of Temple Jr. He is listed as one of his children in Temple's last will.
Okay, so I have not seen that will. I cannot justify that he is from my perspective.
Okay.
But if that's what's in the will, that's what's in the will.
And James Abram also
No.
listed in Temple
Right.
Jr.'s will.
Same thing.
Okay. Cynthia Taylor.
Yes.
You do identify.
I recognize her. Yes.
Kenneth Lockett.
Yes.
Anita McKelvey.
What's the name?
Anita McKelvey.
Anita, I don't recognize.
Alice Baldwin.
Yes.
Wanda Stewart.
Yes.
Warren Lockett.
Yes.
Maxine Sampson.
Yes.
And these are all offspring of Temple Lockett Jr.
Junior.
Robert.
And Robert, yes.
Right. Let's see. I may have repeated some. Josephine Blackman.
Yes. They
Jesse
called her Amy.
Jesse Blackman.
That's her son.
Okay. And Norma Jean Blackman.
That's a granddaughter of Josephine.
Okay. Eddie Earls.
And who?
Eddie Earls.
Yes.
April Gibbs.
Yes.
Early Gibbs.
Yes.
And these are the daughters of Norma Jean Ivy Earls.
Right.
Okay. Rochelle Gibbs.
Yes.
Stacy Gibbs.
Beg your pardon?
Stacy Gibbs.
Yes.
Is there anyone whom you know to be a member of your family who is not listed in this application whom you believe should be?
Did I believe what now?
Is there anyone who is not listed in this application whom you believe should be listed in this application?
Let me think. I'm looking at my list. I think as far as I know, George
Edwards.
George Edwards. I don't know if they were divorced when he passed.
And George Edwards passed away in 2014.
I don't know if it's his first. That's Eleanor's father, but her mother, and they were not married. I don't know if he had a second wife or a third wife, but this one is called Bessie Edwards. I don't know what number she is, but I don't know if they were divorced when he died.
And George Edwards had children we've identified already.
He just had that one that I know of, Eleanor.
Okay. And Eleanor had 4 children whom we.
Yes.
Okay. Robin Carr, Randy Raz, Jimmy Raz, and Angela Godfrey, now Orson.
Yes.
If they are included in the potential family line, is there anyone at all whom you are aware of who should be identified as a descendant of Wesley Lockett?
Not that I know of. I pretty well know and keep up with most of the people that are in this document. That some of my aunts and my cousins don't know that I know, like Temple Lockett Jr.'s children. I can't think of anybody that I know of that should be in here.
I'm going to add one other line here, and I'll be done asking you questions.
Mhm.
And that is the offspring of Josephine.
Of whom?
Josephine.
Okay.
And we have had discussions about facts that Josephine would inherit from her mother, but not from Wesley Lockett.
And that would be stated somewhere or in a will or no will?
Well, Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
The property at issue, the 100 acres, was purchased the week after the marriage between Josephine Lockett and Ann Byers. The 150-acre tract, and the second 50-acre tract was purchased some years later, but it is community property, and therefore, even though this is the heirship of Wesley Lockett, the property's title is affected by the community property interest of his wife, and who passed away in 1926. So even though they inherit nothing from their father, they do inherit from their mother.
From their mother, okay.
And so just for the sake of completeness and getting clear title, we have added, I've added her children, her offspring to the application.
She's still living also.
Right.
Norma Jean.
She is?
Yes.
Where is she?
In Houston?
Well, that solves everything. Thank you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have no further questions for this witness.
All right, so Ms. Vincent, do you either have questions or can we question you on some of that trees?
I have some questions just to clarify a few things. Going back on the Temple Lockett Jr. or Temple Lockett Sr., we had testimony that he had two children, Temple Lockett Jr. and Gladys Lockett Kennedy. Who was the child of Gladys Lockett Kennedy?
His name was, we called him Butch.
Okay. And is he deceased?
Yes, he's deceased.
Okay. Do you know the year that he passed?
Let me see if I have it written down. And Herman Kennedy, that's just came to me.
Okay.
Herman Kennedy was his name, but we called him Butch. And Herman Kennedy Jr. And I don't have his date of death.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
I could give you an estimate. Oh, it's been over 40 years.
Okay. I guess my main question was, did he die with children?
No, he was a teenager.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to Maddie Edwards, you had mentioned that that there were 9 children of Maddie and 6 were alive and 3 were deceased. Which were the 3 that are deceased?
Pearlie Baker, my mother, Pearlie Kennard Baker.
Okay.
Leona Kennard Prevost. And Williada Kennard Green. And one brother, Leonza Kennard Jr. I'm sorry,
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry that I left him off the first
that's
when you
okay.
asked about numbers. I'm sorry. So it's
Yeah.
4.
So it's 4 of them. Okay. So the ones who are still alive are Hazel, Dorothea, Nicola, Doretha, Nicola, Julius, and Ronald.
And what was the one before Ronald?
Julius.
Julius, yes. My uncle.
Okay, so those are the ones that are still alive, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Was that 4 minus 6? A 9? Is that the right number? 9 minus 4?
So I have 9 children total, and then 5 that are still living and 4 that are deceased.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
And on the ones that are deceased, Willie Ida Kennard Green is deceased, and she left 2 children, Alicia Taylor and Keith Green.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then Leona Kennard Prevost is deceased and left children, Gwen Cherry, Joan Kathy Jones, Tina Thompson, and Lorna Patterson.
Correct.
Okay, and then Leonza Kennard Jr. is deceased and left 1 child, Charlotte Kennard.
Correct.
Okay, and then Pearlie Kennard Baker left 2 children, you and Sharon Renee Baker Frazier.
Correct.
Okay. All right, and then going to back over to Eleanor Race. We had, you said that she was married 2 times, correct? Which children were from her first marriage and which were from the second?
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't remember this verbatim.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
I had listed the 4 children. I just wanted to verify it's Robin Carr, Randy Race, Jimmy Race Jr., and Angela Godfrey Orson. Is that right?
No, Angela is a car.
A car, okay.
Yeah, CARR.
Okay. So Angela and Robin were from the first marriage, and then Randy and Jimmy maybe from the second marriage?
The Rays.
Okay.
RAZE. Yes.
All right. I think that's all the questions I had. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Sheff, anything else for Ms. Young?
No, I have no further questions for Ms. Young.
Okay, and I don't know if early on, if you identified Ms. Young as an amateur historian, I think she qualifies as a professional historian.
I agree.
Thank you so much. I try to keep us all together. I email almost monthly, and we visit each other. We go places together. So not only in literary form, but we also in loving form.
Good. And have you entered that information into ancestry.com?
Haven't had time really, but
Okay.
I've thought about it. It's just the time, that's all.
Right. Yeah, just need to make sure that's all written down somewhere because you have a lot of information.
Thank you.
Okay. I said before we, Mr. Sheff, will your next witness be Mr. Kennard?
Well, it may be, Your Honor, but I have noted that Jan Taylor has been nodding in vigorous agreement with many of the statements that have been made. So I was wondering whether we might swear her in and I might ask her a few questions.
Okay. And just before I do that, I may want to jump back and do the Weigies since they're back here. So let Mr. Sheff and Ms. Vincic and your witnesses take a break. Okay, so let me go back to the Weigies, Mr. Weige and Ms. Weige. Were you able to get that sample testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. I have it printed out and ready to.
Okay, and I tell you one thing, and do y'all have a copy of the divorce decree by any chance?
I believe the ex-wife does, because she brought it up there to be filed.
Yes, they have it up on the second floor. They should have it right there.
I haven't. I just,
Oh, okay.
I want to ask a question about something and just wondered, do y'all have this that you could look at?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, let me just, the question I have is, it says in here that Claire Weige will be able to establish the residence of the children.
Yes.
And one thing it says that you will establish the children, High Oaks Drive, number 607. So, I mean, is your intent there that you're not going to leave that apartment?
Not anytime soon, but eventually I'll probably move.
Okay.
I'm trying to buy a house right now.
Okay. Well, I mean, right now, the way this says is you're not going to leave that apartment 607. I just wonder if it might be better just to say you can establish the residence within Belleville, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then it goes on to say, and this is the part that confused me, is that says, I'll just read the sentence. It's ordered that this restriction, and that's right now, is that apartment in Belleville. So right now, this restriction shall be lifted if when Claire Weige wishes to remove the children from apartment 607, she can do that if Derek Weige does not reside at apartment 607. So Mr. Weige, are you currently in apartment 607?
No.
No, you're.
Okay, I'm confused then about the language.
No, yeah, no, Your Honor. I live in industry.
So I guess, Ms. Weige, what's your intent there? Because it again, it says, Ms. Weige will, again, keep the children at apartment 607 until, but if Derek Weige moves out of apartment 607, then you can move wherever you want.
Your Honor, Derek Weige filed that. This is the main residence for the kids, but they do go see their father. As for, honestly, just kind of remove that sentence. I don't know how to respond to that.
Okay. Well, if we just remove it, and whatever you agree to is fine. On the page before, it says that Claire Weige will establish the residence of the children, and then the restriction is on the next page, and the restriction is at apartment 607. So if that is all removed, then that would mean that Miss Weige could essentially move anywhere. She could move to Florida if she wanted to.
Yeah,
so,
that's.
Well, is that what you're agreeing to, Mr. Weige? That?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, so Miss Weige would have no restrictions as far as where the children live. Is that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So then if that's what you two agree, then I think I'm just going to leave everything as it is and just realize that means Miss Weige has the ability to move where she could move in Texas, the United States. She could move to Europe if she wanted to, and take the kids. All right. So Mr. Weige, you can go ahead and present your testimony.
All right. Your Honor, my name is Derek Ernest Weige. I filed this suit for divorce for my spouse, Claire Marie Weige. At this time, I filed for divorce. I have lived in Texas for the last 6 months and in Austin County for the last 90 days. I'm asking for the divorce because our marriage has become unworkable, and there's reasonable expectation that we will not get back together. My spouse and I have 2 children who are under the age of 18 and still in school. I ask that the custody, visitation, and support of our children's be ordered as set in our decree of divorce I have presented to the court. I believe that these orders would be in our children's best interest. My wife is not expecting a child now, and she did not have children with anyone else while we were married. And I ask that our property debts be divided as set in the divorce decree as presented to the court. I believe this division is fair for both me and my spouse, and I respectfully ask the court to grant my divorce.
All right, so Ms. Weige, do you have any questions about any of his testimony, or is there anything you want to add?
No, that's perfect like that.
Okay. And I know it says in here that the child support would be $406. Now, is that for
No.
both kids?
Yes, Your Honor. We have actually a court hearing with the Attorney General on May 20th. So we can just exclude that maybe.
We'll just put that in there, and then if the Attorney General's office changes it, they can change that. And when is that supposed to begin?
May 20th, we have a hearing with them.
Okay, so, because right now it says that this will be payable on the 5th day of the month.
Okay, and he's actually paying $600 a month.
Okay, well, what I'm handed says he's going to pay $406.
Okay, we can just leave that there and then let the Attorney General do everything else.
And then also, Mr. Weige, that child support is to be paid through what's called the Child Support Disbursement Unit. So you'll mail that check to an address in San Antonio. Are you aware of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you'll mail that, and then they will send that to Ms. Weige. And Ms. Weige, if you do change your address, it's important to update the records, because that address, that apartment in Belleville, that's where they'll mail the check to you. So if you move, make sure you update that, or you might not get a check.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then Ms. Weige, did you want a name change?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, then, based on the testimony, I grant the divorce between Derek Weige and Claire Weige, approve the property division, and approve the terms for the support and custody of the children, and find that's in their best interest. So if either one of you want to come up to the clerk's office, you can get a copy of that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
When can we do that? I'm sorry. When can we do that?
Yeah, I got to finish up this other hearing. So yeah, anytime tomorrow, or anytime after tomorrow, you can come get one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So thank you. So 2 of you can go ahead and leave.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate it, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. All right. So Mr. Chef, come back to you. Was it Miss Jan Taylor that you wanted to hear from?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
Okay. So Miss Jan Taylor, if I can get you to unmute first of all, get you to unmute. And then raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Ms. Taylor, if we could, would you begin by telling us what your relationship to Wesley Lockett Sr. is?
I'm the great granddaughter of Wesley Lockett Sr.
And your father or mother was?
My mother was Willia Ida Green, one of the 4 of the Kennards who are now deceased.
You seem to be quite familiar with the family history. Is that observation correct?
I cannot go quite as far back as Jean, but yes, I am pretty familiar. I can corroborate most of her testimony, mainly from what I have written down, as well as what I know from, my mother. My mother was the historian as well.
Was there any portion of her testimony with which you disagree?
None at all.
Are you at all more familiar with Imal Lockett than she might have been?
Okay, my internet connection is a little unstable. Would you repeat that?
Yes, we had identified one of the children of Anne and Wesley as Imal, who was, according to the records, about 4 years of age in 1900. Are you at all more familiar with him and his history than she was?
No, I've never heard that name before.
So prior today, you had never heard, had you heard of the other children who
Never
were
heard
in the testimony? You are
the
familiar
other
with the
children.
Yes.
Yes, the others. Yes.
Are you at all familiar with the whereabouts or marital status of any of the current generation of people we cannot locate?
The only ones that were mentioned that I probably could connect with are the children of Eleanor Raz. That would be Angela Carr and Randy Raz, and I could, through the two of them, I might be able to locate Jackie. Is it Jackie and Robin?
Robin.
Robin.
Could I enlist your assistance in moving forward and trying to do that for us?
Yes, I can do that.
And anything that you might locate, Miss Vincic is actually the one who is in charge of that part of what we're doing here. Perhaps you could get contact information for me or for her and pass that along. Is there anything about the family history?
Okay, so
Go ahead.
I was just going to repeat that. Vincic, Miss Vincic is who I should be in contact with.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anything at all that you can add to the testimony that Ms. Young provided that would help us locate anyone else in the family?
No, I think that probably just Eleanor's children. My mother was very close to Eleanor, and so I grew up with her children. I grew up knowing Eleanor and her children, so I could probably find them. One of the children lives in Europe, but I am in touch with her. But the other three are probably still in the Houston area.
Are you familiar with anyone else in the family who might be familiar with the Blackman side of the family?
No, not at all.
And I have no further questions.
Ms. Vincent.
Hello. And I can go ahead and get you, Miss Taylor, I can get you my phone number and my email address too, if you want that. But I can give that to you later maybe. So I just wanted to clarify on the part of the family tree here. Are there any people that you're aware of that are minor children that would be inheriting anything?
Not to my knowledge.
Have you had a chance to look at the copy of the document that Mr. Sheff filed, the fourth amended application to determine heirship?
It's been a while.
Okay, but you have seen it before though, right?
Yes.
Okay, and to the best of your knowledge, everyone that should have been listed was listed on the document.
Yes. Everyone who I know of that should be listed is listed.
And are there any people that would be inheriting that would be incapacitated that you know of?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Sheff, anything else?
I have no further questions. No.
All right, so Mr. Sheff, anybody else?
And finally, my client, Mr. Kennard.
Okay, and so is Mr. Kennard going to add information or kind of say amen over what was already been said?
I don't know, which is what I'd like to find out.
Okay, so if we could maybe ask him if there's anything new that he can add, but you can go ahead with Mr. Kennard.
Mr. Kennard.
Yes.
You've heard both Ms. Taylor and Ms. Young testify. Is there anything that you would like to add to the testimony that you've heard?
No, I really wouldn't, because they did such a fantastic job. They knew everybody and an awful lot of people that I was, probably their age but younger, but I was isolated out there in the country until I didn't get a chance to see a whole lot of those relatives. But they did. Everybody she mentioned, I remember. She did a fantastic job, both of them.
Okay. So there's nothing that you have to add to her testimony, to their testimony. Can you hear me? You're muted again, Mr. Kennard. You have nothing further to add, is that correct?
I have nothing further to add. It was just fantastic.
I pass the witness.
And Ms. Vincic. Oh, and you're muted.
Sorry about that. Mr. Kennard, so you've seen the fourth amended application that Mr. Sheff has filed, is that correct?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
And you believe all the people that should be listed are listed there, right?
Right. As far as I know, yes.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, are any of the people minors or either incapacitated?
To the best of my knowledge, no. I don't know.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Sheff, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Vincic, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, and so Mr. Sheff, are the people and the percentages that are listed in the fourth amended application, is that accurate now, or do you see something that needs to be updated?
Your Honor, given the fact that we're trying to go through 5 generations in some cases, we have done I've done a calculation through the first 2 generations of the percentages, but Ms. Vincing and I have sort of agreed that we need some additional time before the court signs an order in order to finalize and to try to locate the remaining heirs who are as yet. So we simply wanted the court to have this testimony so that you would be able to sign an order when we presented it. We are working on it and would like to be able to perhaps come back in 30 to 45 days with a proposed final order and something that we can get to the receiver who the court has appointed to provide marketable title for the property.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Vincic, have you and Mr. Sheff talked about your fee?
We haven't talked about it, Your Honor. I had about, I had about 1,500 prior to today. And then I think we just spent an hour or so. So I guess 1,725 is what I would ask for today, and I can file an affidavit or application with the proposed order for that.
Yeah, I'd say just kind of keep track of your time, and when that another month or so goes by and you have more time, just make sure that final order has the correct number in it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then, I'll approve what I heard today and give Mr. Sheff and Ms. Vincic time to put that all down in writing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. You're all excused. Thank you.
And Miss Taylor, would you stay on just a second?
Did you want Jan Taylor? Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
I was just going to give you my phone number.
I'm ready.
It's 979-865-9202.
979-865-9202.
Yes.
Okay, and when would you like for me to call you?
Anytime would be fine. Now I can't even remember what we were gonna.
You need the contact information for Eleanor Raz's 4 children.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be great. And would it be easier to email? I could give you my email address.
Okay, I'm ready.
It's Adrienne. It's spelled ADRIANNE at Vincic Law. V as in Victor, IN, C as in cat, IKLAW.com.
Adrienne at vinciclaw.com.
Yes.
VINCIK. VINCIK. Okay, VINCIK. Okay, where are you located?
I'm in Belleville.
Okay. I work in Waller County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So okay. So I'm not that far. Yeah. Okay.
Well, sounds good. Well, thank you so much. I'll look forward to getting that then.
Thank you. I will work on that and get it to you ASAP.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. All right.
I may have a question for Ms. Vincic on something unrelated after everybody goes. So Ms. Vincic, you just hold on for a minute, but everybody else, thank you. You're free to go.
We have another hearing that's going to start at 4.
Okay.